Hello everyone, it's the Grand Strategy Nerd, and today I'm going to bring to you a little initial review of Seasteader. Seasteader is now out on Steam. You can find a link to it in my description below. What the whole premise of Seasteader is that basically it's a building game, a building simulation, but you're building on water. It looks great. It feels okay. But behind it all, as you'll see when we get into the into the campaign, is that it's kind of a heavy market economy to take in on the back. But this is Seasteader, so let's jump right into it. All right, here we are in the first scenario of the campaign. This is the hub, and all of your seasteads start out with the hub. You're also given access to all, basically everything that you can build is immediately available to you. However, going through the tutorial, the first thing it does say is to build a construction yard. Now, you would think that you have all this great wood planking, that's where I need to build it, but actually if you try to build it on the wood planking, you can't. And so it took me a while to figure this out, as it didn't explicitly state it in the tutorial, but you actually have to build it when you're starting. You have to build it off of the wood planking, because all that wood planking is actually the hub's footprint, so to say. And so now we have a construction yard. The construction yard is needed. As you see, we're going to have 4 people magically appear. One of my first critiques of it is that the controls are a little weird. The numbers not on the keypad, but the numbers on your keyboard, 1, 2, 3, that changes the speeds apparently, but it doesn't do so right away. I went to 3. There's 1, 2, 3. There it is. And so it doesn't happen right away on that, but then to pause it, you have to go all the way over to the pause button. Whereas in most games, if you want to pause it, you just push space. But if you push space in here, it gets rid of your user interface. So that's a little bit annoying. Plus, the other thing I find really annoying is the zoom features. Now, it does say that you can use your keyboard to do it. You can use, obviously, the WASD to move it around. E and C tilt it, which is actually pretty good. But then to rotate it on your keyboard, you have to do the brackets. I'm just not really used to it, and I guess just sort of picking up, this is more of a casual game. It just feels odd to have to pick up, move your hand over to do the brackets in order to tilt it. Now, you can use your mouse if you have a middle wheel on your mouse. So what you have to do in order to move it is that you have to hold down the middle wheel, and then you can spin it. However, holding down the middle wheel and moving your mouse down and up also zooms it in. And I find that very, very annoying. If you want to zoom in without it, I actually forget how you do that now that I think about it. For this, I find, especially with my mouse, or just with the area that I have for my mouse, I just find it very sensitive to try to find like a really good kind of angle to see what's going on. And to use the mouse, it just feels weird because I can both turn and move it in and out at doing the same action. You know, zoom should just be how I feel. Zoom should just be the middle mouse button. You just scroll it up and down, and then you could zoom in and out. But that's not really how it works. Those, out of everything, for control-wise, I know that's like, you said, whoa, well, that's most of the controls. Well, it is, but they're not. They're minor. You know, I just think it's an odd setup, really. And I don't really understand why they did it that way. But like I said, it's just an odd setup. Plus, getting off a pause is really annoying. Do I have to press the pause button again? Yeah, okay, I guess you got to press the pause button again. You can't just start it up right by pressing 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so we have the construction yard. The construction yard allows your seasteaders, to actually build. Next, we're going to go to production, and we need food. As in all city building games, you need food. Remember, you have to build off of it. And off of the footprint. And so what you'll see here is that once we get fast enough, yep, we have people employed. Here comes daytime, so now they're going to start to build the fishery so we can have that stocked up. I don't know what the initial starting population is, as there is nothing that tells me what to do, or there's nothing that tells me what is my starting population. All right, so okay, the fishery is built. Huzzah for that. So now we need a place for that fishery. Oh, I didn't really want to build it there, but this is the canteen is what we built there, and that collects food from production. Now one of the other gameplay gripes that I have here about the game is that this is the walkway feature, so basically roads, but as you see what happens if I go over it, it disappears. There should be another cursor that tells you where your walkway is, because as I was playing around in the tutorial, I built something basically here. It was actually up here. So I left these two. I couldn't figure out where the mouse was in order to come in and cover up these two. So I'll show you what that looks like here. All right, so you see how that little bit there? So oh, there it was. And this is the problem. Yeah, so this is the problem, that you can't actually tell. There it is, finally. You can't actually tell where it is. Now that took, what, 5 seconds? But still, when I was doing it in the tutorial where I had buildings all around it, I just gave up because I could never find where the mouse was, and I couldn't find where the cursor was. So, you know, that's something that is a bit of a drawback, is if you can't make it look pretty, then you're kind of losing the point of the game. One of the reasons that people play city building games is to, you know, make it look aesthetically appealing. Well, at least that is what happens when I play games. But you do want it to look aesthetically appealing so that you can actually, you know, have nice screenshots that you can share, things like that. But when you have those issues where you just don't even know where it's at, where the cursor is at, that makes it kind of hard to make it aesthetically appealing building or city. All right, enough of the gripes, right? We have our fishery, we have our canteen, which is where all of our food goes. Next is to build a flop house. Oh, I can't build there. A little too close to the hub. All right, so there's our flop house. Now there are different kinds of buildings here. A flop house, modern apartments, row house, and suburban homes. But this is where you start to get into, and as I said before, the tutorial does explain it, but this is where you start to get into the economics of Seasteader, in that the building costs rent. And so if we go in here, you can see the daily rent is $20. And so then what you see here, that the hourly wage is $8. Now I don't know what I don't know how long people work. It didn't really tell me that. But I'm going to assume that they work 8 hours. Oh, it has 6 employees. Okay. And so, as the tutorial said, that people will only spend as much as 3/4, 75% of their daily income on rent. So while you can change it to make it higher, you know, so if we just wanted to make it 25, we could do that, but it doesn't mean that they're actually going to pay that much. Now you could make it as low as 15 and say, I want to give them all a break, we want to have this full at capacity, but then you have to worry about the upkeep of it, which is, I don't know. Well, you can see here on the upgrades that it does increase the upkeep if we choose some of these upgrades. So you just have to be, well, I guess it would come in under expenses, but you just have to be aware of that when you're setting up your economy, basically, which all ties into my last and final gripe. And we're actually going to pause this again, is that the market is obviously you're on the ocean here, right? You don't have that much. You can only produce so much. So in order to make money, you can export stuff and you can import items, which then brings us to this pretty dense at first glance, I would say, pretty dense interface here. Now, this is just about beer, but what it's showing here is what if we were to create it, what we're exporting it at, 16, and what we're importing it at, 32. But these are set to auto, so what the auto does, it's the easiest, it just sets it to whatever the game thinks that the economy is at right now. But you can also do you can also really customize it here with some of the other options. You know, setting how much you want to import within a 3-year time period and how much you want to sell it for as well away from the market. Now that's good, but it's also bad that, you know, taking the case in point here with the oysters, that if you want to export it at a certain price where it's not set to the market, let's say that I want to export it at 6, well, no one may buy it at 6. And so then we have an issue with that as well. So it's just something that you have to be aware of. You have to really think about what is, you know, how are any changes that you're going to make going to affect the larger game market. And I haven't gotten really that in depth with it, so I don't know exactly how it affects it, but I can see it being an issue in the future where you're trying to make sure that everyone's getting fed, that everyone's at work, that everyone has happiness and is being satisfied in life, but then now you also have to worry about the market economies. Now take it in some of the other city builders where there's not really that import and export mechanic in there. And so that does separate Seasteader from everything else. But does that mean that it makes it better or worse? I just think it makes it more dense. Is it necessary? I believe so. In the Seasteader, like I said, you have to figure out how to survive on, you know, out in the ocean, out on a seastead. But I don't know. It just seems that they could have streamed on a little bit more. I don't have any ideas of how they would have done that, but they definitely, I think, might have been able to work on that more. And I did see that I was going to put in an arcade there, but I thought better against it. All right, so let's put in a sports bar. And now we're just going to keep on kind of building it up for a little bit here just to show you what you can do. Oh, we need a depot. And all this stuff that I'm putting down, I'm not really explaining. It is explained in the tutorial. The tutorial is very good. It goes through it all. It's not incredibly dense, and it's also not incredibly light in that you don't understand what's going on. So I think that that's great. You know, that they have a tutorial at all is pretty good. So kudos to the developers for that. But this is basically what you start off with. You have a place to eat. I'm sorry, a place that produces food, a place to eat, a place to relax and recreate, housing, the depot is all the logistics, and then your construction. Well, that's all that you need in a city building game. So, what do I think about Seasteader? It's a good game. Do I have to spend a little bit more time with it? I think so. Am I confident that's going to be a success? I think it will be a successful game from the standpoint of garnering a good community around it. It's not going to be from everyone. The biggest drawbacks is what I mentioned with the controls and the dense market economy and some of the graphics as well, mainly the cursor when building a walkway. However, I think the biggest drawback right now for Seasteader is that when I got this, it was on sale. I bought my own copy for, I think it was $26.99. That's probably $13 too much. This is not a $30 game. And it's not to say that it's not $30 per game worth of effort that was put into this by the 3-person crew. And it's not to say that it's not a good game, but when I saw that price, I had sticker shock. Now, I still bought it because I like city building games, and so I wanted to see what it was all about. But that's a lot of money for something that really just does not show off that $30 right away. So that may be a drawback to some people, and that's okay if that is. But if you want a fun little game where you can come in and you can mess around, try to make a sustainable society and economy by being on the sea, with obviously what that entails is not having any outside influences coming in except for new migrants or something like that, then yes, go ahead and buy Seasteader. But if you want to save your money, if you want to look at having just a little bit more polish on the game before you drop that $28, $27 before you go in, and you may want to wait for a Steam sale or something like that, I think that's okay too. It's a good game, a little bit overpriced, some tweaks to the controls and to the UI, and I think that this could be a great game. Well, that's my review of it, so I thank you all for watching. It has been my pleasure to bring this review to you. If you want to click on that thumbs up, you can. Leave a comment below. Refute what I say. That's all right with me. Or you can voice your agreement as well. Or if you just want to see more of this on my channel, you can put those in the comments below. But go ahead and share this around if you would. And if you want to see more city building games and more grand strategy games, go ahead and click on that red subscribe button. Lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you want to see more of those from me, the Grand Strategy Nerd. Till next time, everyone, good night and good luck.